Good morning, everyone. Gosh, we have a full house. This is wonderful. Welcome to Staying Independent and in Charge. I'm Nancy Puder. I'm the founder of Seacoast Seniors. And Seacoast Seniors started in 2019 as a community outreach. And it's evolved into a movement that is going across the Central Coast. And we are trying our best to educate older adults and their families so that when the crisis happens, they can make knowledge-driven versus crisis-driven decisions. And the reason I started doing this is a little bit about my background. I was a real estate broker for the last 42 years. And year after year, I would walk into a situation where mom had taken a fall, or dad was running around the neighborhood naked, and the family finally had decided to be a little proactive, and they were there for the weekend. They were going to move mom or dad, and they would always call me last because I was the realtor. And what else was a realtor good for, right? So they called me, and I would walk into this complete chaos. Everybody was frantically Googling. Everybody in the family was Googling, and sometimes making not so great choices. By the time I got there, they were already beginning to fight about something that happened when one of the siblings was 8 years old. And then they would go home on Monday and say, their parting words to me were, sell the house, call us when you have an offer, and by the way, mom or dad will be sitting in the armchair, but don't worry, they won't bother you. And I used to wonder, where the heck are the people to help these people? And I repeated that statement a few times a year for 42 years. And I was a busy realtor, so I just went on to my next piece of business, and I didn't think it again until it happened again. Can't even begin to tell you how many times I ran into that situation. So finally, about almost 6 years ago now, I woke up one morning and I was doing my usual grumble because I had just listed a house. And I loved working with my older adults. I would stay, I would try to be a companion to them during the listing. But I was thinking, where are the people? Because in 42 years, not one person's showed up, by the way. So a little voice said to me, why don't you do something about it? And I thought, what? Me? I can't do it. I don't know, I wouldn't even know where to begin, and besides that, I'm really busy. So the voice wouldn't go away, so within a few days, I started doing some research. Ended up getting certified out of an institute in Oklahoma, which took about 6 months. And when I received my certification, I started doing free in-person live seminars. And I've been doing them ever since, except I did have to stop when the pandemic happened. And so during the next 2 years, I used that time to develop an amazing resource team of senior industry providers, from fiduciaries and attorneys, estate attorneys, trust attorneys, probate attorneys, insurance people, in-home care, senior communities, movers, packers, sorters, organizers, and move management companies. We have it all. And everyone on my resource team at Seacoast Seniors is a vetted professional that I wouldn't think twice about referring to my own family. And that in itself makes me feel really good about what we're doing, because it's so sad when I see people taking advantage of older adults or their families who are in a panic. And I see it a lot, and I hate it. So all of my senior professionals, they lead with their heart, not their wallet. And especially now that there's all these rumors, how many of you heard about the silver tsunami that's coming? Anybody? Well, the last baby boomer is turning 65 in 2030. And savvy business people out there are starting to get on the bandwagon. The sharks are circling. And there are people out there that want to monetize that scenario and that part of our population. Now, I don't have any problem with people monetizing it. How many know it's okay to make money as long as you're doing good? But I think the difference is when you're leading with your heart, the money just follows. When you're leading with your wallet, there's usually no heart in it. And those people sometimes would kick you to the curb faster than, you could say, what? So you want to make sure that you're working with good people, and we know the good ones. So today we're going to talk about what it means to stay independent as you get older. I don't know about you, but I don't want anyone else telling me what to do, right? I want to be in charge. So 99% of the people I talk to, even after I've held these seminars, so I wonder why I keep doing these seminars, because everybody's still saying the same thing. They go, you can almost repeat after me. Gonna live forever in my house. I'm staying there forever. I'm never moving. They're gonna carry me out feet first in a box. And how many of you, that's your plan? I'm here today to tell you that's not a plan. That is not a plan. So there is so much to address when it comes to creating your aging journey. And I applaud all of you for being here today, because it's so important that you make decisions now while you still can. Because one fall can change the whole trajectory of your life. So now is the time to make the decisions. God, yes, that's what I want to do. That's plan A, and I'm okay with that, plan A. That's great. There's things you want to do. You want to make sure the house is safe. Pick up all those little small rugs that keep bunching up and toss them. So lots of things you can do. I'm also a certified aging in place specialist, so I can help you with that, to make your home as safe as possible. But you definitely, there's so many other things that you need to get in place. If you think your kids are going to take care of you, think again. We spend more time talking children of older adults off a ledge than we do the older adult. The kids don't have a clue what to do and what's involved. And please don't do that to your kids. It's terrible. So obviously you want to get all your legal documents in order, okay? But you also want to have a plan B. Like, okay, what if I fall, I get brought to the hospital, and the hospital says, you can't go home. We can't release you. You can't go home. Where would you want your kids, or where would you want someone who you shared your aging plan with, where would you want to go? Where would you want them to take you? Believe it or not, there's good places and there's not so good places. And trust me, wherever they bring you, that's where you're going to be stuck. And it can make all the difference in the world to you. if you start getting dementia, or God forbid, or just things start to happen so that you need to consider going into a senior community, like an assisted living. We want you to take the time now to choose where you would want to go. When you're moving, moving is right up there on the stress charts with death and divorce. So when you're moving, you don't want to, you've decided you need to move. Now all of a sudden you have to decide where you're going to move. Take the time, we highly recommend you take the time now and choose a senior community. The Villages of SLO is fantastic. This wouldn't work for everybody, but it works for many, many people. And we have someone today who's going to tell you a little bit about how their system works. But another one is in-home care. Well, I'm just going to stay home, and if I need to, I'm going to have somebody come in, and we have an extra bedroom. They'll move in, they'll stay in the bedroom. We'll give them full use of the laundry and the kitchen, and that's not going to work out just fine. Wrong. Finding the right person to do that in the first place is a big challenge. And you don't know who their friends are or who their families are, the addict brother or the boyfriend or the grandson who might be coming to visit and robbing you blind or worse. And the perfect person that you're looking for to help take care of you when you need a little help around the house is the same person that the in-home care agencies are looking for. And they are scrambling constantly to find good people to send to your home. So I do recommend, if you're looking for in-home care, to please make sure you go through an agency. They've got the insurance. If somebody was taking care of you and they fell, you'd be covered by their insurance so you didn't get sued. And there's at least some semblance of, order when you go through an agency. So we're never going to try to get you to move. As I mentioned to you, my background is real estate, and that's still my primary source of income. But I just love what I'm doing, and I promise you I will never try to make you move, and I'll never try to get you to sell your house unless that's something you want to do, and then I'll say, I would love to help you. So today we've got some fantastic speakers, and they're going to be coming up in just a moment. And I just want to check my cheat sheet here and see if I missed anything. Hold on one sec. Oh, housekeeping. Okay, the restrooms are right past the desk, the front desk there on the right. And there's coffee and pastries in the back. The coffee is actually a machine, which is awesome. You just push the button of what you want. I think there's espresso and coffee and whatnot. And most of you have a clipboard, so there's a page for notes. There's a little bit about Seacoast Seniors. And then also there's a feedback form. So if you would be so kind as to fill out your feedback form before you leave, it really helps us improve the seminars as time goes by. Okay? So, let's see. So we're going to show you today we're going to start this by showing you how to embrace the aging journey with confidence. This is actually a preview of a seminar that we're doing in January that's going to be in Arroyo Grande, and it's going to be called The Same Thing, but we'll have different speakers and it'll be a little bit different, because just recently I realized that I need an aging plan. Hello. I've been doing this monthly for so long, so concerned about all of you, that it finally occurred to me recently that I don't have an aging plan. I was doing seminars on trusts and wills before I got my trust done, which I have now. So I decided that starting in January, and you guys are lucky because you're getting a little preview, we are going to create our aging plan together over all of 2025. At each seminar, we have different topics. We've got living, dying, and leaving a legacy. We've got solo aging, going from we to me. We've got people that will talk about hospice. We have in-home care and how to choose a good senior community. We have lots of attorneys coming to discuss trusts, wills, guardianships, and conservatorships. And just so you know, if you don't make your plan now and something happens and you're incapacitated, a guardianship is when somebody comes in, and it can be somebody appointed by the state, can come in and tell you where you're going, and you're going to shut up and be happy there. So this is big stuff, people, big stuff. So this is why we're so passionate about bringing this to you. The other thing is, so we're going to talk about some options today, and why you would want to make a plan. Can somebody just give me, throw out a couple of ideas of why you would want to have a plan? I have stunned you all into silence. Oh, Tracy, why would you want to have a plan?
In case a crisis happens that you don't expect.
In case a crisis happens that you don't expect. How about not being a burden to your children? I love my kids, but I do not. Well, they wouldn't know where to begin. They did a survey about with older adults, and they asked them, if something happened to you, would your kids know what to do? And 80% of older adults said, yeah, my kids would know what to do. Well, guess what? They did the same survey with the adult children, and 90% of those kids said they wouldn't have a clue what to do. So we need to start talking, people. We're going to create this plan, and then we want you to communicate it. If you don't have any kids or family, choose somebody, a neighbor, anyone, communicate your wishes to them. That's really important. You can have the greatest plan in the world, but if you haven't told anybody, that's not very good. I do have some tools I'm going to share with you later. One of them is an awesome box I bought. It's right here, but it's under these books. It's called a knock box. I bought the premium, super duper one. It was like $168, but it has and it's fireproof supposedly. But they have a lot of smaller versions. I just went for the big one. And it has, oh my gosh, all the dividers, everything you just couldn't imagine. Your auto insurance, your passwords, everything you can imagine. And then every divider has a list of things you need to think about to put in that divider. So it's pretty incredible. And then I also have a gal, she actually wrote The Invisible Patient, which is a wonderful book, The Invisible Patient being the caregiver, about resources and things that you can tap into and how to take care of yourself when you're caring for someone else. And she has an organizer online called Grab and Go Binder. So if you prefer to do things digitally, if you're interested in either one of those two items, let me know on your feedback form, and I'll make sure I get you the information so you can order one, okay? So I think that's it. We're going to get started in just a minute, but first, hang on. We're going to have our dance break. Who said that? Who said that? Okay. Here it is. Okay, my first guest is Hank Ferrar. Hank, if you would come up here.
Good morning.
Hank is a professional fiduciary in San Luis Obispo County. How many of you know what a fiduciary is? Okay. And I think that's because a lot of you, I told you what a fiduciary was a few months ago. But Hank is a Cal Poly graduate with a degree in social sciences and also has a fiduciary certification through Cal State Fullerton. In his spare time, I know he loves to hike and enjoy the beauty of the Central Coast. So welcome, Hank.
Thank you.
You guys like our sound system? It's a karaoke machine.
Good morning.
It's such a girl thing.
Good morning. So I was born and raised in San Luis Obispo, went all through. This
Can you use the mic? Thank you.
Up and all the way to your mouth.
Okay. My name's Hank Ferrar, born and raised in San Luis Obispo, about 3 blocks from here. Still live in the same house I grew up in, minus 2 older brothers in the same bedroom. Worked in the local retail area. My first job was right across the street. And after I retired from there, an attorney asked me to go and become a professional fiduciary after watching me deal with my folks' trust and my ex-wife's aunt and her family and all their drama and trust. So I went back to school, took the certification courses, became a professional fiduciary. When a lawyer asked me to become a professional fiduciary, I'd never even heard the word. And so I went home and looked it up, and the attorney called me and said, "Oh, you've been signed up for your first class." And I went, "Oh, really? Okay." So I went through and took the classes, and it's been the most rewarding adventure of my life. Getting to deal with people that have special needs. They might be 30 with special needs, they could be 60. How do you get appointed as a professional fiduciary? A lot of mine have been local people that I went to school with, their parents, parents live here, they no longer are here, or they haven't spoken to their parents in 30 years, or somebody tries to take your car keys away and you say no, and you're not talking to your daughter any longer. And then you see dad inside the bank with the neighbor lady changing accounts. And there's disruption, and Adult Protective Services can call and say, you need to go and check this out. And the family members, they all think they're entitled to everything. Like, you have 4 kids, everyone's gonna have a different point of view, and makes it kind of rough. And a professional fiduciary can go in and kind of mediate the situation. And I put a couple flyers up here on this table that you're welcome to take after, but we can be appointed by the court. If a conservatorship comes in and nobody wants to step up, like children don't want to deal with mom and dad's stuff, the parents don't want the children to know. And if you have a trust, you have to make sure the trust is funded and things like that. On this list, we can do estate administration, trust administration, financial management, which is when one of my clients, when I got called, she was having Cal Poly kids go to her house that were walking by and paying her bills because she was blind. And you guys are pretty lucky that live here. You're financially pretty well set. Basically, you're in a good environment. you're not at home wondering what you're gonna do and getting the gas turned off because you misplaced the bill or you forgot. And we can set up in-home health, and make sure your house is ADA approved. And here you guys don't really have to worry about that. You're probably pretty set up with everything you need, but when you're back at home, you don't have the bars to stand up in the bathroom or hold on into the shower. A lot of people don't do that. And that's, a fiduciary can also, like, my goal in life is not to become a millionaire. I'm past that stage. I'm not a millionaire, but I'm happy with what I have. And mine is to treat my clients like I treated my parents or my ex-wife's aunt, like keep her in home with dignity for as long as possible. And so they don't have to worry about the electricity getting turned off or having to pay $1,000 in a water bill because they left the water on in the yard. And you'd have to go fight for that in San Luis Obispo if somebody leaves the water on. But just little things like that, and most important thing you can do is have your plan for life set up. Like right now you know what's going on, probably for the most part, but the family, a lot of people, parents don't like their kids to know their finances. And the kids don't know, and to have everything, like she mentioned, organized and have someone else overlook it. Like what happens when you fall down and break your shoulder and you can't write a check anymore? Is someone else on your checking account? If not, you can be in trouble. And that's things that fiduciaries kind of can help with. If, like I have several clients that when something does happen, I'm in line to help them and take care of them. Like a friend just had shoulder surgery and he can't sign a check. So I was put on his account and I can write and pay all his bills. And I'm his durable power of attorney for health care. So when he was incapacitated, I can make decisions so that, you know, I know the family wishes and I know his wishes, and at the end of life, when something does happen, you know, you have a trust or a document stating what you want, and as a fiduciary, you don't deviate from that, even though the kids may think it's different. You know, we can do this, we can do that. Necessarily, you can't. And I've been put in place just to keep it so that the kids don't fight. Because when you have two kids and they both differ, they can argue and fuss and fight, and nobody needs that. You want your kids to stay together as a family and not feud over how much money somebody got, or somebody's got grandma's pie plate and I should have been entitled to that.
That is so true, Hank. Yeah, I can't tell you how many families I've seen fall apart. Families that were close over just during the period that I was involved with them. So now, when I went and got my trust done, and I'm a big believer on trust. If you own real estate, you have to have a trust. Otherwise, you're going to go to probate. So the last thing you want is the courts deciding, and they don't do that for free, by the way. They take about 30 to 40% of your assets in payment for that. And it takes a year to 2 years to get it processed. So always big on trust. So when I got my trust done, and I was sitting with my attorney, I told him that I wanted a fiduciary to make the decisions and to basically be, they don't call it the executor of the estate, they call it the successor trustee. But I wanted a fiduciary to take that role, because in my real estate career, I would run into people year after year that were appointed the executor of the estate or the successor trustee, and they probably went through about 18 months of pure hell. It is not an honor that you're bestowing on someone to ask them to take care of your business when you're gone. So It's very simple when you're doing a trust. So I appointed a fiduciary, right? And people do that for you too. And you can choose, by the way, who that fiduciary is. There's some old school attorneys in this area that are still appointing the only person in town that was a fiduciary 25 years ago, and that's not always the best choice. So you can choose who you want your fiduciary to be. I, for instance, want somebody who's going to be kind and loving and compassionate while my loved ones are grieving. I don't want somebody coming in that's mean and controlling. And there's people like that out there. So I just wanted to ask you, is that something that you do?
Yes, I do that quite a bit, and I just try and make sure that everybody gets treated fairly, because I know if I was in a situation where I needed a fiduciary, I don't want to be put into a home with 30 people who don't know who they are and have no say about it. And that does happen. You know, I try to keep everybody in their home as long as possible, as long as it's safe. And if not, then I find a good fit for them. And just a few of my cases, I went to high school here and graduated with a girl, very smart, knew the whole family. I get a call from caregivers saying that the daughter had ripped the mom off for over $800,000. And I graduated with the girl. And the mom was in her 90s, and I've known her since I was a little kid. I managed to get the money back from the daughter, and then the lady said, "Oh, thank you, now I can die." She died 2 weeks later. But it was $800,000 that the daughter had taken out of her accounts and borrowed money against. The interest on a HELOC loan was $500 a month, and the daughter told me, "I'll just pay $500 back to her each month." And I go, "That's barely covering interest." Just incidences like that, and just here to help people make sure that everything in their life kind of goes smooth, because everybody in life has issues that come up and you never know. And the good part about being a professional fiduciary, I don't have to take a client if I don't want to, and they don't have to take me if they don't want to. And you know, fiduciaries get sued quite often. If I make an investment for you and I lose the money, then I can be held accountable. And so I try and set myself up with a lot of good professional help. All like George Washington said at one point, he's trying to surround himself with the best capable people around, because he's maybe not smart in every single area. So that's what I try.
That's great. Can everybody hear us okay in the back? I just want to be sure. Wonderful. So describe a typical week in your life, Hank.
Depending on which client needs, like perhaps to get to the doctor, or the in-home health agency doesn't want to deal with them, things like that, I can set up doctor's appointments, in-home health, food preparation. I do all that just depending on the thing. And my big saying for this is I probably have 20 different clients, but most of them aren't active, and I just say they can't all die on the same day. Otherwise I'm going to be in trouble. You know, and just like getting people's income tax done, making sure that their trusts are funded. Like you can have a trust, but one person, you know, they sold their house and they bought a new house, and they didn't have their new house in the trust.
Right.
And that was my ex-mother-in-law, and I called my ex-wife and go, "Is your mom's new house in the trust?" And she goes, "Well, I don't know, probably." So I called my ex-mother-in-law, who I love dearly, and asked her, and she goes, "Well, I don't know, I think it is." And in that case, like she said, if your house isn't in the trust listed, then you have to go to probate, and you have to get a probate lawyer, and you have to pay the court. So probably half of the assets you have are going to be eaten up having to go to court. And I've seen time and time again that people go to, and nothing against, we help you legal, you know, everybody wants the cheapest way to go, and they forget to put something in. And then you have to go to probate. So my advice to everyone is to get an attorney that specializes in, trust and wills and that sort of thing, just to make sure that nothing is missed, because that can become very costly.
Right. So tell me, like, for instance, so what do people do? So somebody passes away. What is it, the final?
Okay.
Tell me what happens. Somebody passes away and
Somebody-
you were appointed the fiduciary.
Okay, so hopefully by the time I'm done with getting them prepared, we have all the funeral arrangements set up. The family usually comes. The last one I did, the family came. They hadn't seen the mom probably in 30 years. And there was reasons for that. But I let them go through and take what they wanted. Then I had to have everything appraised and done, and we had an estate sale. I personally, was in charge of making sure all the house was cleaned out, the properties were all sold, all the bills were paid, taxes are done, and all the kids wanted was, well, when do I get a check? When do I get the check? How much do I get? And, we had the burial and everything went by, and then the kids got, each got their $3 million, and they were happy. And then they called back and said, well, why did we have to pay so much in taxes? Can you change the value of the house? House was across the street from Cal Poly, sold for quite a bit, and I just told the family, I would really like to go back and be able to redo my taxes from last year as well and get a discount, but that's not the way it works. And as long as I think transparency is the biggest thing with family, and, people get suspicious if they don't know exactly what's going on. And like I told them, I'm an open book. You can call me anytime and discuss your parents' needs and wants, as long as your parents okay it. But I can't tell you how much money they have in the bank if they don't want me to.
Would it be okay if I just interrupted for just a
Sure.
second? Because I don't mention this from the front often enough. If one of you passes away, it's important that you have what you call a time of death appraisal. Your attorney or your accountant is going to say you need to get an appraiser to come out and give you a time of death appraisal. And that's what what your property is worth on the day that your loved one passed away. That is something that we will do for you at Seacoast Seniors at absolutely no charge. A lot of attorneys will send you to an appraiser and they're going to charge you $650 or $700. So please be sure to call us and remember that we do that free of charge for you. And then you just put it in your file. And then when you ever sell the house eventually, or if your attorney or accountant asks you for it, you've got it. And it's a lot easier to do it at time of death. Not that we can't recreate them later, but is it possible, Hank, for someone to get a hold of you and just meet you ahead of time and ask you some, discuss some personal situations before they hire you without having to pay?
Yeah, absolutely. I usually do a consultation just to meet, to see if we would be compatible, and to see if I want to deal with your 17 heirs that are, no kidding. I got asked to go to a meeting. There were 17 heirs. This is in San Luis Obispo County. They each got $40,000 twice a year from an aunt's trust, and they couldn't agree on anything, and none of them worked. I think they were all drug addicts and all that kind of stuff. It was very lucrative for me, but I turned it down because I didn't need the frustration or the, getting phone calls at 3 o'clock in the morning that I need to be bailed out of jail. So it's nice to be able to pick and choose who you want. It's not all about the money.
Yeah, I have learned the hard way not to advertise myself as a problem solver. Because people will bring their problems to you. And yes, we're very solution oriented, correct? And we are great at solving problems. But there's a line that we don't cross. Well, Hank, thank you so much for coming today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for the opportunity, and
I'm really honored that you're here because I've been wanting to meet you for a long time.
oh, thank you.
I've heard a lot of wonderful things about you in the past. So,
Thank you so much, and I'll stay around after this if anybody has any questions, and I do have some business cards I can hand out.
great.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Spring Angelotti. And Spring is the Community Relations Coordinator here at the Villages of SLO. She has spoken with us before. She just has a wonderful, rounded out knowledge of how to choose a senior community and what they're like, and to kind of dispel the myth that you're going into some kind of a nursing home type arrangement. So Spring, welcome. So glad to have you here today.
Thank you, Nancy. I'm happy to be here.
So, can you share with us some insights of what differentiates independent living, assisted living, and maybe nursing home?
Sure. So the main difference is that an assisted living building is licensed, right? Independent living is not licensed.
Interesting.
So that is kind of the the industry difference. But the difference that it makes to you, right, is are you completely independent, able to manage your own medications, able to get up from the chair nicely, able to shower without the worry of falling, right? So independent living is for people that are truly still independent. And it is typically a lifestyle choice. People are choosing, I want to stay home, or maybe I'm feeling lonely and I want to move into a community. With assisted living, it's a little bit less of a choice, right? Now I need care, right? I can stay home and get that care, or I could move into a community to get that care. And that may, for each person, have a different point of where it makes more sense to go ahead and move into a community. It's hard to get 24-hour-a-day care. And it's hard to pay for 24-hour-a-day care, but sometimes that's what we need. And that's a rougher choice. It's not, do I want to move from my house and go live in a community setting? It's really, can I create an option where it's safe for me to stay at home and financially feasible?
Right, right. Well, I think one of the things that people will dismiss beautiful senior communities like the Villages of SLO, because $5,000 or $6,000 or even $7,000 a month is just formidable. They're like, oh, there's just no way. In a minute, I'm going to ask you how that really plays out in an average person's life. But before, I just wanted to throw out there, does anybody know what it costs to have in-home care?
A lot.
It's a lot. Do you know if you have in-home care, and you have 24-hour care, it's going to run you about $26,000 a month. Yes, $26,000 a month. And if your loved one is over 250 pounds, and that's not really that big. My husband's 220, and he's in pretty good shape. So 250 pounds, guess what? Now you need two people So you are looking at over $50,000 a month for full-time in-home care. And I have wonderful in-home care people that I use, and I love them to death. But I want you to compare apples with apples, okay? So before you dismiss the idea of moving to a senior community, I want you to, for financial reasons or because you're not ready yet, which is another subject on another seminar, just keep that in mind because, I really always want to make sure that I bring that up. So Spring, what would you say are some of the reasons someone would want to move to a senior community?
So moving to independent living is usually somebody doesn't want to be cooking and cleaning anymore, or their social circle is shrinking and they're starting to feel lonely. And the idea of moving to a community where they have lots of peers and activities appeals to them.
Lots of beers?
Beers too. No, beers, friends, right? But beer too. There's beer here too. Another thing that motivates people to move is if they stop driving, right? That's having that transportation built in is helpful. So, but independent living, I really do. I see people move here because they're lonely or because they're tired of the chores. And it really is, it's a choice in how you want to move forward and what you want your life to look like. And sometimes, we can be thinking this is exactly what I want, and we lose our significant other, and things change dramatically because, couples, we do what we do well, and we do it for each other. And we kind of make up for each other, almost like little puzzle pieces, right? You're great at taking out the trash, but I'm really good at organizing the cupboard. So you take out the trash, and I organize the cupboard. And now you're gone, and I can't get the trash out, right? And there's nobody there to care if I organize the cupboard, right? So sometimes what we want changes. And sometimes we just keep going through with it. But independent living is a choice. People don't move into independent living because they have to.
Right. Sometimes people that I talk to, and this is even my own husband, I've been doing this for 6 years. And he said, aren't you doing it at that facility today? I go, we don't call them facilities. I've told you like 1,000 times since 2019, we call them communities, and the reason why is because we don't want you to think of senior living as a facility. It's just like moving into an apartment building, really, right?
Yes.
Except what are some of the benefits? How about the food?
Right, so we have wonderful food here. So if you want to stop cooking, that's a great reason to move on in. There is some housekeeping built in. Another great reason if you'd like to give up that. We have a crew of landscapers here 40 hours a week, keeping it beautiful. The housemen keep the swimming pools clean. If there's heavy packages delivered, we can deliver them to your apartment. I mean, there's lots of things in independent living to stretch that independence out, to keep you independent for longer, and to make life a little bit easier, and maybe pick up some of those tasks that our significant other has been doing for us and that we're now missing.
So I think what I'm always trying to dispel is the myth that moving into a senior community is moving into like a nursing home or skilled nursing. And that's the fear that everybody has. I moved to a senior community and then I'm gonna die. And the kids too. My mom always told me, don't ever move me into a home. And things have changed the last 25 years with senior communities. It is not the hardcore nursing home. But I will tell you one thing. For those of you that are waiting until you're ready to make a move, oftentimes the opportunity to move into a place like this when you're ready has already passed you by, because they have responsibilities here to turn you away if they don't feel that you're going to be a good fit because of your, ambulatory problems, the level of assistance that you need. Now, you do have assisted living here, though.
We do have assisted living, and that is where you would go if you needed, help managing your medications, if you were worried about slipping in the shower. So if you have those kinds of care needs, in assisted living, we are a licensed community to provide that care. So it's still not a medical community, right? We don't have doctors over there to take care of you. But we do have support. So if you need more support, that is where you can get that support. But it's still not like a locked community. You're not locked in. You're still not giving up, your independence as a human, right? So you can still get support in the areas where you need support, and the areas where you don't need support, we're not going to force that support on you. If you want to go and spend the weekend with your kids, then you go and you spend the weekend with your kids. We're not going to tell you you cannot leave the building or how to live your life, even in assisted living. But that's where we're licensed to offer that extra support for people that really aren't living at an independent level anymore.
So what advice would you give to adults and families that are planning ahead for a potential transition? Even if they feel independent now.
Okay, so one of the first questions I ask families when they come to look at the villages is, what are we really planning? Like, what is it we really want to look at? Because you're here now talking to me, very independent. But you're telling me you're not ready to move, right? We're going to move in the future. And so the first thing I really try to figure out is, are you talking about moving into independent living? Or are you talking about potentially making a move when you need that assistance? There's no point, right, in touring independent living if you're absolutely not moving until you need assisted living. And so I really do kind of like to sit down and have that conversation with you. That way, you're not coming back in a few years and saying, I need help with my medication, so now I'm ready to move into independent living. Because I do get those people coming back in, and at that point, you could do independent living, possibly with some care coming in, right? But at that point, you're no longer independent, right? You need that assistance. And I really do like people to take a good, honest look at what is going to make them ready to move. Is it because you're not independent anymore and you need that support? Then let's look at assisted living. So that is really what's going to make you move. When are you going to be ready to move? What are we really planning for? When people plan to spend the rest of their lives in the house, but they need a plan B, and believe me, you need a plan B, even if you never use it, make a plan B. You don't want anybody else making that plan for you. But that plan B is typically then, if I need assistance, I'm going to make the move. And so then let's plan that, right? So being honest with yourself about what would potentially make you move, to me, is the most important, first step.
So the Villages of Slow offers independent living, which is this building here.
Yes.
Across the way is assisted living.
In the Garden Creek building.
Right.
Right, and more independent living in the Oaks building.
And then right, not too far away, is your memory care.
Yes.
Sydney Creek.
That's right, over on Laurel Lane. And that community is a locked community just because of the nature of that disease. And people just aren't safe you know, being able to come and go freely. So our memory care community is a locked community, which is very different than assisted living and independent living.
And we have some upcoming events and seminars this year that will address dementia because it's pretty rampant now. So how does your community handle health or mobility changes? So if someone moves into independent living and all of a sudden there's a problem with mobility, how would you be able to assist them into a different, over to Garden Creek?
Sure.
How would you help them with that?
So, I mean, the first thing I would do is listen very carefully to what they're telling me that they want, how they see their life going forward and what they want, right? Because that, you know, is the first thing that I'm gonna take into consideration, because there can be different ways to move forward. And I want to help the people that live here, our residents, to move forward in the way that they see their life moving forward, that they wish to move forward, right? And then we have to evaluate the reality of it, the safety issues, and what do they need, right? And based on what they're telling me they want, and what I'm seeing that they need, then I help them to make a plan to move forward. So whether that is moving over to Garden Creek Assisted Living for that extra support that we provide, or whether maybe they are here with their significant other who is not having care needs, so maybe they would like to have home health come in and provide those care needs for the spouse that's needing care, because they've got someone there that's not needing care, right? The other person's not needing care, so that's kind of a little safety for us. It's harder when you're on your own, especially, you know, if you're starting to get confused, then it's harder to bring in the home health, because they really do have to be there with you 24 hours a day. So that is when I think we would press more for assisted living, and hopefully it hasn't progressed to a point where we need memory care yet, right? It's easier to take it in small bites, small steps. But I want to see your life move forward the way you want to see your life move forward. Because I want to see my life move forward the way I want my life to move forward. And I don't want any of my kids mucking that up for me, right? Like, you know, so it is really important to make a plan. And if you never need that backup plan, great, right? That's fantastic. But it really is important to make that plan.
Spring, I always love it when you come and talk to us. You know, isn't it amazing how we can bring up any topic? We're going to have questions and answers at the very end. I'm going to have our speakers come up and answer questions for you. So if you just hold your questions until then, that would be great. But isn't it amazing how when we've known each other now for several years, and you've spoken, it's probably the third time you've spoken for me because you're such an authority.
I think so.
And, but isn't it amazing, no matter what topic we come up with, how involved each topic is? I mean, let me tell you this story, and forgive me if I've told it before, because I tell a lot of stories and I'm talking to people all the time. But just a few months ago, Shannon and I, Shannon is my business partner, and I neglected to, here she is. Shannon is my right arm. And Michelle, along with Michelle, who checked you in. I'm so sorry, I'm so remiss. I should have introduced them, and I didn't thank my sponsors either, but we'll do that at the end. But I have this story just a few months ago. Another senior community, one in Santa Maria, called me. Actually, it was Merrill Gardens, and they said, we want you to please go talk to these people. They want to move in. They did a tour through our community about a year ago, and they're ready to go. And we said, thank you for the referral. We'll get right on it. So Shannon and I went over to the house, met these lovely people, and we listed their house for sale and started getting things going. We had the estate guy out there, the move manager, everything. And when you move into a senior community, it's a little bit of a process. You know, they want a note from your doctor that you're able to move in, etc. So as we were just about to pull the trigger to publish their house for sale, the son called and said, Meryl, the community in San Maria turned them down. And I said, what? And what had happened was they had toured the community a year prior and over the past year, and they decided, well, we're not quite ready yet. And over the next year, the wife had deteriorated to a point where she was no longer eligible to be able to move in there. And it was so sad. Well, so they had decided they were going to move, and they found another place. And the night before they were going to move into the new place, the wife died. And Shannon and I were in tears. It was so sad because we both firmly believe that if they had just made the move a year earlier, that the quality of life that they would have enjoyed would have extended her life, and that sweet man would have been able to enjoy his wife for months or years longer. I truly believe that. So, how often do you hear stories like that, Spring?
Well, this one was particularly heart-piercing, Nancy, but I do often have people come in, they look, they like it here, they're like, yes, we're not ready yet, but when we're ready, this will be a great
Famous
move.
last words.
And yeah, and then they come back and they're like, we're ready, and then I have to have the hard conversation of we've kind of missed that mark, right? If you're needing someone to manage your medications and help you out of the chair, it's not going to be independent living. Right now we're looking at assisted living because you're needing assistance. And I do see that a lot, and I really have to, each time, I have to find the perfect line because I don't want to be pushy. This is a huge decision and nobody wants to be pushed into it. But I also don't like having to come back and drop the bad news, right? You've waited too long. It's not an option anymore. So I try very hard, while not to be pushy, to be very honest and upfront with people.
Yeah, because a lot of times then their alternative is the hardcore nursing home, the one that you've been scared to death, or your kids have been scared to death to put you in. I don't want anyone to put me anywhere. You know, I want to voluntarily choose. My husband already knows we're moving into the villages of Slope. At some point, we started our downsizing journey about 5 years ago. And we do a great seminar on downsizing, by the way, and decluttering. So, well, Spring, I want to thank you so much for being our speaker today. As always, it's such a joy. So thank you so much. And Spring is going to be here to answer questions afterwards. So I guess my best advice to you is to start now. Start by, I applaud all of you for being here today. I hope you've taken notes. We brought a 3-hole puncher if you want to put your notes in a binder. Remember to put on your feedback form if you want to hear where to get either a digital or a physical box with the right dividers to help spur you on, to get you organized. I encourage you to consider all scenarios for your aging journey so that you can celebrate. There's no reason for this to be something you dread getting older. We all know we're going to die. But the answer is not to just live in denial, right? We need to do something about it. Create that plan before someone else creates it for you. If you're a veteran, we want you to check into Veterans Aid, because a lot of times Veterans Aid will pick up the cost, a large portion of the senior living community fees. Stay curious and talk to your children or your loved ones. Very, very important. Start the conversation now. If you need some tips on how to open that conversation, call me. We are experts at that, and we'll help you navigate and get that conversation rolling so that you're making, if you won't do it for yourself, do it for the kids. You know, you don't want to put that on them when they have to make all those decisions for you, okay? So I'm going to ask my speakers to come back up, and we're going to open it up for question and answer. Okay, and when they ask the question, would you repeat it, please? The
What?
question, when they
Oh.
ask.
Sorry about that.
Okay, so we're opening it up for questions now. We have somebody over here who's patiently been waiting. You see him on the couch.
Yes, Trudy, that's you.
If you have long-term care insurance and then you're already at assisted living, can you still stay there and use your long-term care? How many, does anybody use that when they're over there?
Yes, so Trudy's question is about long-term care insurance and whether you can use that to either pay for or help pay for your rent and care over at Garden Creek. So the easy answer is yes. The difficult answer, though, is each person needs to check with their specific long-term care insurance because they all have different standards they want met to approve the costs. But Garden Creek is a licensed community, and as long as your long-term care insurance pays for assisted living and we're meeting the number of activities of daily living they require, it should pay. But your long-term care insurance is the only person, the only place that you have to hear it from them. I can't tell you that they'll pay.
Do you need a doctor's order to move into long-term care?
You need some. Yes, so a doctor's order to move into assisted living, what we get is
I don't mean long-term care, I meant assisted living.
in assisted living, yes, what we need is a physician's report that outlines what your needs are. Because then we can meet you with this report and we can be sure that we can meet your needs before you move in and you haven't moved into a place that, right, that's not helpful. Yes, absolutely.
Do you have a really long waiting list, and what is the duration of your turnover here? You can't probably answer that for sure, but.
So we have a very long waiting list, and how long does it take apartments to turn over? So we have vacant apartments, and we have certain floor plans that there is a waiting list for. It really depends on what it is that you like. Whether you want the largest apartment, the smallest apartment, right? There's another good one, first floor. Some people only want to be in the very biggest apartment on the first floor. So that might be a wait. Maybe the very smallest apartment on the third floor, though, I could get you right now. It just depends on what you want. And how many there are. So I have one apartment over in the Oaks building that there's 4 of. So if they're all full, I mean, it could be over 10 years before one of them comes open, or it could be 2 weeks. I really, right? We don't know. But we do have lots of apartments. We typically have some openings. It's just about what it is that you're looking for. Sure. Yes.
So what can you bring here? You can only bring 8 things? You have to get rid of your car and all your power tools?
So you definitely wouldn't have to get rid of your car, and you can choose to bring what you want to bring and what you don't want to bring, but it needs to fit in your apartment.
How big?
Except the car.
Right, the car can stay in the parking
How big
lot. Thank you.
How big is the apartment?
It depends on the apartment that you choose. So we have kind of a studio plus junior 1-bedroom size that's, I believe, 465 square feet. We also have a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom that's 950 square feet. So it really depends on what, and we have ones in between. So it really depends on what you're looking for. Yes, and pets are welcome.
Yeah, that's a big one.
It is. I know people don't like to give up their furry friends, so. Lisa.
I also want to say that another reason for living in a facility such as this one is they plan activities. So I don't have to stay at home in my living room watching TV 24/7 or reading a book. There are things to do and places to go, which is very important for some people.
Yes, it is. And yes, we have a packed calendar.
Yes.
Do we have any questions for Hank? No questions for Hank?
Right here.
Okay.
My question for Hank is, you mentioned trust and you mentioned getting everything once the person has passed appraised. And then you said, the kids came back to me and said, why do I have to pay so much in taxes? I thought inheritance taxes didn't kick in until you had like 12 million or something. So speak to that.
That's pretty true. It all depends. This person had over 12 million, so, no.
Hank, would you rephrase
Okay.
her question?
Okay. She asked about inheritance taxes and how come the kids came back and wanted to know how much they needed to pay was so much, and it's because she had quite a large estate.
Okay, great. Any more questions? Oh, there's one.
I'd like a price comparison on independent and assisted living and so forth.
Okay,
like
that's
that.
done privately, right?
Privately?
Yeah.
Sure, I'd be happy to.
Okay.
Can I just see some? The Villages of Slow is not going to try to get you to move in here today. However, they have agreed to do a tour of their entire campus today. If you're interested, come up and talk to Spring, and might be a few of you going at once, but just talk to Spring and she'd be happy to either her or her partner Susan, who I don't see, she's probably giving a tour, but they will be happy to show you their campus and discuss prices with you one-on-one, because I think it's better than from the front of the room, don't you?
Sure.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Thank you, Hank. And Hank and Spring will be here after the seminar to speak to you individually. I want to thank our sponsors. Our sponsors generously contribute each year so that we can continue to put on these seminars absolutely at no cost to you. The Villages of Slow is one of our sponsors, Envoy Mortgage, Home Matters Caregiving, Regenesis, Merrill Gardens, Zoe Rital, who is an expert, as is Envoy Mortgage in reverse mortgages, our own very own Slow Happy Homes, that's Shannon, San Maria Terrace, and Elder Placement Professionals. So thank you, thank you. Also, I wanted to recommend a few books today. This one is by Annalee Kruger. It's The Invisible Patient. It's available, I believe, on Amazon or Audible. I did the Audible. I don't like their Audible version. But I met Annalie Kruger in person. In fact, I might be interviewing her. I probably will be interviewing her soon, one-on-one on our YouTube channel. She is such a sweet, loving, and kind person, but the person that did the audio is, oh my gosh, you're like, wow.
Can you please repeat the name of that book?
It's called The Invisible Patient. And there's information in here that would be good for everybody. How many know that no matter who you are, you're probably a caretaker? You know, you're either an adult child, soon to be caretaker, you're a professional caretaker, or you need a caretaker, right? So everybody needs to know about caretaking. It's another great book, Reversing Alzheimer's. There's a lot of people that will argue with me that this can't be done, but I don't believe it. And I don't think you should believe it either. It's written by Dr. Heather Sanderson, another person that I think I'm going to be interviewing this year. So wish me luck on that one. And then for those of you who, it looks like most of the people in this room are age 50 or older, but when we get people in our lives who are getting older and they're just not responding in conversations the way we would like them to, I'd like you to consider that maybe it's not them, it could be you. So this book here is written by David Soley, and it's called How to Say It to Seniors. This is a fabulous book, How to Say It to Seniors. You might even just, wives, you may just want it to better communicate with your husband. You know, I know sometimes my husband and I will go round and round and round over the stupidest things. And even when I'm arguing, I know it's stupid. There's a voice going, why are you arguing over something so dumb? Why do you care? But no, I've got to be right, you know? So, and if I had just taken the time to use some of the tips I've learned in this book, we wouldn't be having the argument and expending all that negative energy. This Downsizing Made Easy book, I give to you free with a consultation on your feedback form. If you'd like to have a private consultation, I'm happy to come to your home and you'll get this book for free from me. And, this is it's called a knock box. Thank you, Sharon. I didn't think about this ahead of time, obviously. Okay, this box is so cool. You're welcome to come up and take a peek at it. It just comes all Velcro. And it's just incredible. So you're welcome to come up and take a peek at that. Remember to put on your feedback form if you want me to let you know how to do this, order this one, and or get the digital version. So, what else? The raffle. Okay, this is what half of you were coming here for. I know. You're all sitting there patiently, like, okay, is it going to be the raffle pretty soon? All right. So we've got some great gifts today. Sometimes I usually only give away 3, but I think I'm going to give away all 4 today because they're all so darn cool. And, by the way, before we do the raffle, I wanted to let you know that I'm taking a mental break in December. I'm going to spend some time with my husband and my family, but we have another seminar coming up January 8th. It's going to be in Arroyo Grande at the Harvest Church. The Harvest Church has got a wonderful venue, and they've invited us to put on a bigger version of what we just did today. So, even though you came this time, make sure you come to that one too. And if you're afraid that the roof is going to fall in because you haven't been in a church in 40 years, I'm here to promise you that that's not going to happen. It's not going to be churchy or anything. You know, it's gonna be a great seminar. They do have a wonderful venue. So you'll make sure we have your email addresses, and if you prefer snail mail, your actual mailing address, and we will send you out the invitation next month sometime. But that's January 8th. It's going to be at the Harvest Church on the right catty corner to Lightning Joe's, if you know where I'm talking about. Okay, first prize was donated by Tracy Smith from Merrill Gardens, and boy, does it look fun. Oh my gosh. She's got a gift certificate, she's got a warm, cozy blanket.
Cup and saucer.
A cup and sauce, it's really a sweet raffle gift. Okay, and it's going to number 175-1122. Winner. Okay, congratulations, Richard. Okay.
Home matters.
I see Terry's already eyeballing that. Okay. Oh, and then we have this sweet gift here from Home Matters. Where are you, Christy? This is Christy. She has in-home care, Home Matters in-home care, and she is amazing. I refer pretty much all of my clients to her when they say they want to talk to someone about getting some in-home care. And by the way, just like senior communities, it makes a lot of sense to create a relationship with Christy or another in-home care agency before you need them. Because that silver tsunami, when it hits, nobody is going to be ready. The senior communities are not being built fast enough, and the senior in-home care agencies, the good ones, are not being created fast enough. So get in now while you can. You have a much better chance of someone helping you if they already know you. So just invite them over for coffee and cookies. Make sure you include cookies. And just get to know them. So, you know, God forbid something happens. You call her, you go, Christy, oh my gosh, I never saw it coming, but I need your help. And she'll go, oh, Sally, I'm so glad you called. Sure, I can get somebody up there right away. You call her cold turkey and you've never spoken to her before, who do you think she's gonna put ahead of you? Right? It's the one that she knows. So, okay, so this gift from Christy, which is...
It's a candle and think chocolates and
Oh,
stress
so
relief.
cute.
We have
Okay, oh, facial mask. Oh my gosh, so cute. Okay, this one is going to 175-1130.
Is it?
Oh, you.
It's like my favorite part of the seminar. Oh, this is the cutest little thing. I was at World Market the other day, and this is from me. And it's this little wooden Christmas tree, and it stands up by itself, and it has these little hooks on the branches, and you hang your own little ornaments on it. It's so darn cute. So anyway, I think it's cute. If you don't like it, you can give it back to me. I won't have to go buy one for myself. 175-1112. 1112. Got a winner. Okay. And our final gift today is from the Villages of Slow. And isn't it gorgeous? Okay. Wine gift card. I want just the sunflowers. Okay, 175-1132. 1132. 1132. Snooze, you lose. Okay, next one. All right. Okay. 1126. We got a winner! I want to thank all of you for coming today. Please don't ever hesitate to reach out to me. And we promise we'll never bother you if you don't want to be bothered. And we're just so glad you're here. We hope to see you again soon.